Wow. Just wow.
History, or as it used to be known, the present, is a handy catch-all term for everything that's ever happened. That previous sentence, that's history. You've literally just witnessed history in the making. In fact, you can't stop witnessing history. Just try while checking out this week's upcoming goodness.
Coming up on the NExUS, news that everyone will be talking about for years to come, from improved websites to noble team fights. We find out how the Cold War was really won in Call of Duty Black Ops, the arcade cabinet delivers its verdict on Costume Quest, and history repeats itself.
But how do you witness history after or even before it's happened? Now, I'm not talking about some micro-budgeted Discovery Channel reenactment. I'm on about the real thing. Impossible, you say? Well, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. That's why I've developed the Flux... What? No time to explain. I'm down from 2 weeks in the future, and if you proceed with that sentence and complete this hilarious and well-meaning skit, then Universal Pictures will sue you for copyright infringement. And you'll lose. Oh man. Well, I better ask next fortnight Andy about this week's news while I go off and devise a cunning plan. One other thing. Never meet your future self, because it might cause a time paradox.
Thanks, echoing voice across time. Here's the news that's no longer of interest to anyone of my era, 2 weeks in the future.
Imagine if Xbox.com relaunched. You'd freak, right? Well, if you haven't done so lately, head over there right now because it's done exactly that. The new improved Xbox.com brings with it loads of enhanced features, including a searchable marketplace, information on Connect, an avatar editor, and a much more user-friendly inbox. Go check it out and see what you think. Microsoft has announced the first bit of DLC for Halo Reach. Known as the Noble Map Pack, it features 3 new maps called Anchor 9, Tempest, and Breakpoint. Tempest is an abandoned shoreline facility with 2 opposing bases facing each other. Anchor 9 is an orbital refueling dockyard for UNSC ships full of mirrored interior hallways and featuring a large open central hangar bay. And Breakpoint is composed of modular archaeological labs perched on an icy precipice. The map pack comes with achievements totaling an additional 250 gamer score and will be out on the 30th of November for 800 of your Microsoft points. And speaking of DLC that costs Microsoft points, here's some DLC that doesn't cost any Microsoft points. It's the new DLC for top-heavy treasure hunter Lara Croft's XBLA game, Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light. Called All the Trappings, the new DLC pack is apparently made up of a brand new area to conquer and features a combination of puzzle, exploration and combat experiences. Those are our 3 favourite kinds of experiences. Anyway, it's the perfect thing to try out the new online co-op patch with and will be free for the next month, so get downloading and give it a go.
More from today's Fish and Chips paper soon. Hey, next fortnight's Dan, who to me is simply today's Dan, has a letter arrived for you from Universal Pictures. Looks ominous. What's that you're fiddling with? A flux what? To my right stands the building where Henry VIII used to practice his breakdancing. The polished marble floors of Fairfax Manor provided the perfect surface for the young king, fresh from the glory of his accession to the throne, to practice his popping and locking, and MCs from around the country would flock to the King's Court in hope of finding favour with the windmilling monarch. Alright, that's not exactly true, but it's not the most inaccurate historical representation of someone ever, is it? I mean, look at video games. Take Dante Alighieri, for example. Known as the father of the Italian language, Dante is one of the greatest poets the world has ever seen, and his work, The Divine Comedy, profoundly affected not only the depiction of hell in religious iconography, but all subsequent allegorical creation of imaginary worlds in literature. What he almost certainly didn't do was become a Templar Knight, kill Death, stitch a red leather cross to his chest, literally go to hell, and go mental on everyone with Death's scythe before imprisoning Lucifer in a cage of ice, like Dante's Inferno reckons. I mean, historical records from that time are sketchy, but come on. Theoretical physicist, author and philosopher Albert Einstein is another good example. Unlike the claims of Command and Conquer Red Alert, it's unlikely that Einstein created a time machine after World War I and used it to kill Hitler with his glowing arms. Speaking of Hitler, pretty sure this never happened either. Right, this is getting silly now. This is a picture of Frédéric Chopin. And this is Frédéric Chopin in the game Eternal Sonata. Admittedly, the whole of Eternal Sonata is taking place inside Chopin's head as he lies on his deathbed, but if this is supposed to be his life flashing before his eyes, then most official biographies leave out the bit where he fought giant pigs in a wood.
You foolish creatures!
Thomas Edison was an American inventor, scientist and businessman famous for inventing devices such as the phonograph, motion picture camera and the incandescent light bulb. And if Assassin's Creed 2 is to be believed, he was also a Templar knight who took credit for all of Abstergo's inventions and ruined the career of fellow electrical pioneer Nikola Tesla because he was an assassin who had come into possession of a piece of Eden that he planned to use to create free electricity for the whole world. And talking of Tesla,
he created this death ray. He might have had contact with aliens.
He was testing something, trees are falling over on the other side of the world. Before Tesla was found ultimately dead, he had actually been gone for a while, a couple days that no one could ever account for. So we're actually playing with that, saying that, well, 3 days on Earth could be 20 years in the void, right?
Right, that's it, I'm done here. I quit. No, this is ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. No, none of this. No, stop it.
Hey, I'm Kudo. I'm the creative director on Kinect. Obviously a huge fan of Kinect, but the thing I'm most excited about is that new show coming on Xbox Live. What is it called again?
Believe it or not, there was a time when Call of Duty didn't exist and people played all sorts of other games instead. We call this period the Age of Variety. It was awful. So many different colours and shapes. Ugh. Let us never speak of it again. It all started innocently enough in 2003 when Infinity Ward decided that using the Quake 3 Arena engine to develop a World War II set shooter would A, make a pretty good game and B, get them girls. Critics across the world agreed, particularly with point B. Am I right, ladies? Call of Duty introduced, or at least did a fine job of integrating, such now common FPS staples as AI allies who support you during battles and accuracy-enhancing iron sights. Before COD, you had to aim by pointing at a child's painting of a duck with a knitting needle to tell the game where you wanted the bullets to go. It was a system drastically in need of an update. A couple of years later, Infinity Ward returned with Call of Duty 2, the number 2 indicating that it was a successor to the previous game. COD 2 was an early release for new console on the block, the Xbox 360, and featured 8-player deathmatches over Xbox Live, which players gobbled up like double rations of bully beef sent to them by Virulin while taking a break from digging a victory garden. Infinity Ward relinquished development duties to Treyarch for Call of Duty 3, notable for featuring Canada as a playable country. It sold well is the main thing. But not as well as Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which saw Infinity Ward elevate COD from respectably performing shooter to world-dominating phenomenon. A new present-day setting, a stunning visual makeover, and that multiplayer raised so many bars that bar raisers were forced to fuse the bars into one all-dominating super bar, which they then fired into space from a super cannon. It was a pretty high bar, basically. Video game ping-pong continued as Treyarch made a much more confident return with Call of Duty World at War, returning to World War II again, but redeeming itself with a cooperative Nazi zombies mode, which somehow made shooting Hitler's minions an even more satisfying pursuit than ever.
Remember, no rush.
Treyarch then tossed the hot potato back to Infinity Ward, who stepped things up again with the blockbuster Modern Warfare 2. Gushing reviews inevitably ensued, as did record-breaking sales and lots of large numbers. 1 billion in sales here, 25 million unique players there, blah, blah, blah. I mean, what do you want, a medal? Then Activision controversially decided to give everyone a break from Call of Duty, citing creative exhaustion and spiralling budgets as two major determining factors in their... Yeah, right. This November sees Treyarch once again stepping up to the plate, or whatever game developers make games on these days, I think it's a plate, with Call of Duty Black Ops, which sees them leave the safety of the World War II trenches behind for the altogether less well-trodden secret battlefields of the Cold War. You lot seem to be overly concerned with the multiplayer, so here's a guy from Treyarch to soothe your anxious, inquisitive minds.
We got a lot of new tools related to creation with the Emblem Editor and the theater. The theater's really been a huge hit with a lot of people. People love making their own content. The game is about your weapon, you and your weapon, and fighting on the ground. And the kill streaks that you get, they're extra bonuses. They give you more kills, but they're not going to count towards getting more kill streak rewards.
What is it you're trying to achieve with the multiplayer of Black Ops?
Just to be the biggest multiplayer game ever. I mean, that's to put it simply. We've gone big. We went in with a huge feature set, and it was a lot to get done. It was a huge challenge for us this time. But we started development a lot earlier. We had double the team size, and it was a huge challenge, and we were up for it.
Okay, so we're now playing Costume Quest, which is the new game from Tim Schafer's Double Fine studio, based around Halloween. You play as one of two characters. There's a brother and sister called Ren and Reynold, and whichever character you don't pick gets kidnapped by goblins who are ransacking the neighbourhood for candy. So your quest, as it stands, is to find your sibling and get as much candy as possible as you do so. So you go around trick-or-treating with other characters you find, and battling goblins and searching for clues as to where your sibling is.
So I've seen you kind of wandering around quite aimlessly around this town. Is this the hub, or is this the entire game environment? Is it just this neighbourhood that you explore?
Well, it opens up. There are different areas later in the game, but I mean, just this neighbourhood area. It starts out quite small, and there are sort of artificial barriers in your way that you get around using the abilities that you get. So we started off with just my street. I got the robot costume, which had the Heelys on, which allows me to go over ramps, so that meant I could access a different area to that. And now we've got the shield, we can go underneath a waterfall, get into a cave. So the way combat works is it's turn-based, but it's this very kind of Paper Mario style. Use a basic attack, I get a kind of timing thing, so I've got to press A at the right point. And the more accurate you are with your attack, the more damage you'll do.
Okay, cool. So this is kind of Double Fine's second attempt, I suppose, at taking a relatively unpopular genre and trying to make it a lot more accessible. With Brutal Legend, there was obviously elements of real-time strategy, but kind of ground-level management. And this seems to be the friendly face of turn-based RPGs. So that's the costume part covered off. What about the questing?
Right, so yeah, you get different quests from different characters, and they're usually the kind of fetch quests kind of thing. So go and find me ingredients for my pie, or go and find the password for this party. And it's just a case of exploring and making sure you've visited every house and trick-or-treated everywhere you go.
I understand Tim Schafer isn't kind of, obviously he's not the game director, but I mean, is his touch still apparent?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's in charge over Double Fine, so everything's got his fingerprints on it. But the dialogue is very.
Does that include all the office furniture and?
He just touches all the walls and stuff.
A lot more family friendly than Brutal Legend, I think.
Yeah, a lot more everyone friendly than Brutal Legend, I think, apart from metalheads maybe.
Let's say I'm Johnny Haypants and I don't like turn-based RPGs. Why should I even consider a Costume Quest?
Well, for a start, it's incredibly charming. I mean, the game world is somewhere that you want to hang out, really. Also, the turn-based combat it's a lot less boring and frustrating than a lot of turn-based combat, because you have these little reflex-based mini-games to play, and I'd say give it a go. I mean, there's a free trial, so you can try it out and see how you get on, but I definitely recommend everyone do that just to check out how it looks.
I think I might do that now.
Yeah, go and do it.
I will.
Good advice.
I'll see you later.
Where we're going, all the roads are future roads. Something like that. There, now I finished the best script I ever wrote, Back to the Future.
Future script! Dog, nab it all! That was your plan? Yep, and it worked. Look. Wow. I feel ashamed to be you. Don't make the same mistake as my paradoxical past self and send in your original contributions for our next episode, which is on the theme of science. Don't ask me how. The haunted printer knows all. What happened to my hair? Shh. That'll learn him. See you next time, everyone. Yeah, so, and one other thing. Make sure you never meet your future self, because it will cause a time paradox.